Hello?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2011 horror thriller The Awakening. The film is directed and co-written by Nick Murphy and it stars Rebecca Hall, Dominic West and Imelda Staunton. Now the film is set in 1921 and it focuses on Rebecca Hall's character Florence, who is something of a ghost detective. Well, in actual fact, she goes around and she debunks ghosts, because in those days it was rife for people to do like readings and fake hauntings and all this kind of stuff to kind of get money off people, and she would go around and kind of prove that they were all fake. So she doesn't believe in the afterlife, and she makes it her mission to kind of prove it. She's very, very smart, very intelligent, she's well written. And she's a little bit like Sherlock Holmes, I suppose. That's what she reminded me of anyway. So Dominic West's character, Robert Mallory, comes to visit her in London to try and hire her for a job. Now, he works at an all-boys school, and they believe they've got a genuine haunting, and he and the school want her to come and investigate and hopefully help them identify what's going on, because everybody's scared, especially the boys. She reluctantly agrees. She goes up there, and what she discovers may in actual fact be a real haunting. Right, what are my thoughts on The Awakening? Well, this is a film that I've kind of had on the gentle back burner for quite a while. It's a film I've been aware of. I know a handful of people that think quite highly of this film. And it's one of those films I kind of stumbled across over the last few weeks. And I thought, well, yeah, I've got a little bit of spare time. I'll actually try and check this one out now. And I have to say, while I don't think this film is going to please everybody that watches it, I think at the very core of this film is a well-structured, well-made, and impressive horror thriller. Now, for those I think who aren't going to like this, I think there are people who watch this and think it's a little bit like, you know, a period drama with ghosts sort of thing. It's heavy on the drama for the majority of the film, with a few mild scares thrown in here and there to kind of make it interesting. But it is by no means like a fright fest, this film. It's a gently paced, and I emphasise that. It's a gently paced horror thriller that has been carefully written and carefully structured in the way it is presented, because there was a point in this film, and I think this is why a lot of people will probably turn off this film if they kind of go into it blindly. There was a point in this film where I was thinking in my head, I'm not sure I'm enjoying this. It just feels like, as I said at the beginning, like almost like a well-made BBC drama with a few ghosts thrown in and a period piece. And the pace of the film was kind of harming it at one point in the film. And then as it all starts to unravel, and things are revealed in the film, then it slowly presents itself. You're kind of like, wow, that all kind of makes sense now. And then everything falls into place. And there's a twist in the film that I just didn't see coming. And I don't think many people will see coming, that just kind of, for me anyway, just kind of flipped it on its head, and made me reevaluate the film that was in front of me, and I appreciated it a lot more. So there was a couple of times while watching this film felt like, you know, a 5, a real push, a 6 out of 10, and then it just keeps adding layers onto it as you're watching it, and all the complexity and the slow pace all kind of falls into place quite nicely as you're going through this film. And by the end of it, I appreciated it. It's one of those films that just leaves things nicely. You know what I mean? And you walk away from it understanding everything that's going on. It's not leaving anything to your imagination. It's not, you know, leaving you to make your own mind at what's gone on and stuff. It does answer all your questions, but it does it in its own time, if that makes sense. So if you're one of these fans that doesn't mind a film to take its time to tell its story, then you're probably going to be okay with this. If you're an impatient film goer, then this is probably going to be less for you, I would suggest. Now, the performances here are all excellent. I think the standout here is Rebecca Hall, who I think is excellent as Florence. She plays the role very, very well. It's pitched perfectly. This very independent, confident woman, you know, brutally honest at times. You know what I mean? Doesn't take any prisoners, and you slowly see her being deconstructed as the film goes on. And it's a very, very smart portrayal by Rebecca Hall, and I think she does a fabulous job. Dominic West is, again, very good. In fact, I can't recall ever seeing Dominic West not being fairly impressive in everything he's ever done. But he's good as well. And I think also a standout here is Imelda Staunton, who plays like the housekeeper at this boys' school, who's got this real affection for the children, whose involvement in the film and the story becomes more and more apparent as it goes on. You know, she gets more and more involved as the film goes on, and her, like I say, her connection to the story and the film and the boys. So there's a couple of missteps here. There's like a red herring with like the groundskeeper that it keeps kind of hinting at, and the groundskeeper is played by Joseph Maui, I think he's called. And I don't necessarily think the film needed a red herring. It felt like, for me anyway, it cheapened it at times. But maybe they thought they needed to add a little bit of interest in there. And brutally, I think the film could have done with a couple more scares. You know, the film, while at times did engage me and interest me, and you know, there's a couple of moments where you might, you know, be startled, I guess, is the best compliment I can give it. There's not what you would call a real genuine scare here, but at least it didn't go down the route of cheap jump scares. I don't remember there being any cheap jump scares in this anyway. So for my money, I think this was a decently made horror film. Nothing outstanding, not overly memorable. It's not a film I'll rush to add to my collection or anything like that. But I do think there's an audience for a really nicely polished, well-made period piece horror film, or a haunting film. And that I think there are audience members that would probably really appreciate this film. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.